Kick-Ass Switch, putting the K in magic. I'm Joanna DeVoe, and you're watching another episode of Every Which Way. And this time, I'm talking to Flora Peterson, aka CharmingPixieFlora of the Yay Factor. I know most of you who watch my channel are probably fans of Flora, so she probably doesn't need much of an introduction. But for those of you who don't know who she is, I think you are in for a treat. She is a very sweet, bubbly person, but don't let that deceive you. She's also a business badass and an awesome hands-on mom. So here she is, Flora Peterson, also known as CharmingPixieFlora. Hi, Flora. Welcome to Every Which Way.
Hi, how are you?
I think most of my viewers know you as CharmingPixieFlora, and your website is mflorapeterson.com, and can we get there if we visit the yayfactor.com?
Yes.
Okay. Well, can you start?
Also, if it's CharmingPixieFlora.com, Yay Flora, which one? TheSimpleSabat.com. There's a bunch that are all of it go to my site. So
nice. Can you start by telling us what the Yay Factor is?
Well, sure. The Yay Factor is living true to your spirit, and that was something that I didn't do for a really long time. In fact, I lived for everybody else's dream and everybody else's ideals, and found myself in a pretty dark place. And it wasn't until I actually decided I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to live like this, because I was unhappy. I mean, even though outwardly I seemed happy, inwardly I wasn't happy at all. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm finally going to just start living for me and my dreams and my goals. And that is when I really started to see myself shift and see myself in a light that, wow, I can really do this. And it's not being selfish, it's being self-caring when you do that. And so that's what the Yay Factor is all about, is really helping people, first of all, get really clear in what they want in life and in their goals, and then helping them to do them. And I'm their cheerleader. So, but the Yay Factor is like that Yay Factor in life, that spiritual factor when you're living true to your spirit and living true to what you really want in life. And you're not in a box, because so many of us get put inside of boxes, and then sometimes it's a box within a box within a box, and it's like, whether it's a label or a certain lifestyle that we grew up in, or even people that we're associated with. Yeah, this helps you to see life for what it really is, for the situation that you're truly in. And even if it sucks sometimes, and even though sometimes you can't immediately get out of the situation, you can shed some light on it and go, oh, I get it. then when you're in that sucky situation that you don't really like, that you want to get out of, and you shed light on it, then you're like, oh. So you see what you've done in the past, you see how you got there, and then you can see where to go from there. So
nice.
Yes.
And the name is born out of your little catchphrase, your yay!
Yeah.
Yay! Every time I write that, I kind of feel like I'm ripping off CharmingPixieFlora. So if I wanted to participate in the Yay Factor, or I wanted Yay Factor in my life, how do I get that? Are you doing that through your phone consultations with people? Or
I actually do it in like everything that I do. In all my videos, I try to share with you some part of my path that helped me get my yay, or to help my spirit find a voice. And that's really what the yay is. That's the voice of my spirit. So, I mean, in all my videos, I think I have 400 videos now. I just hit 400 yesterday. Yay! Let me see. I've got lots of blog posts. I'm actually starting to do blog posts now, so I'm sharing the love in both the readers and the viewers, because I know some people, prefer reading instead of just sitting there watching a video. So, and then, yes, and also my books and all my classes, and I've got the Inner Circle, which is packed full of yay. But I also do one-on-one sessions in which I actually talk to you and find out where you're at and where you want to be, and then I help you get there.
And that's a coaching practice?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it's spiritual empowerment coaching, so it's not only life coaching. I coach your spirit, not just your life. I mean, that's just, your life is kind of like the side factor, but I really work with your spirit, because spirit is that feeling part of us that just exudes and just bleeds out in every other aspect of our life. If we're feeling bad, our whole life is, it's slower. It's a little bit more stagnant. When we're happy, it just kind of, just bleeds out. I prefer to work with your spirit instead of just your life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're going to the source.
Right, exactly. Yes.
What is the inner circle?
Well, the inner circle is a forum for people who want to share their path openly and who feel like maybe they can't do it like on Facebook or Twitter or some of the other social networks, because sometimes we have people in our lives that may not see our path as valid if it's not in, if it's not the same as theirs, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Which is totally fine, because everybody has their own viewpoints on how to get up the mountain to God, So the inner circle, there's 3 levels actually. There's the first level, which is the general forum, and there's tons of spirit circles, which are kind of specialized little forums within the big forum. And then there's the second level, which is the spiritual empowerment level, and that's where all my classes are in there, all of my, What's Up Wednesday calls, which are a spirit-led call. I don't prep for the call at all. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. So I pick up the phone, and I'm like, okay, peeps, don't let me down. And I basically just act as the channel, and we sit with the energy of the week, and then we just talk about the energy of the week thus far and how it's affecting us and how we can work with that energy, not ignore it or get rid of it, but just work with the energy to our benefit. And then we also have monthly spiritual empowerment coaching calls where you can call in and get a reading done if you want to. And then I also have all my meditations on there. So level 2 is packed full of stuff. And then level 3 is my year in a yay, which is essentially my year in a day classes. And that actually is almost exactly the same as my one-on-one, except, well, it's the teaching is the same, but the one-on-one is more individualized, and I can really tailor that to each person. But what level 3 is 53 video segments ranging anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes on each weekly lesson, and then I sort of explain all the stuff, and it's long, but anyway.
Nice.
But I love it. And so in that level 3, I share my path as a very eclectic spiritualist, and I help you to discover your own path. It's not about memorization. It's not about memorizing charts and stuff out of a book like a lot of year-in-a-days are. It really is going within and finding your own path that is already inside of you, and finding that solid foundation that is already there, but you just have to kind of bring it to the surface and go, oh, yay, there it is.
Nice.
So,
well, and with the year in a day, originally your videos, you presented yourself as a pagan. And
right.
Then you kind of, I know you've worked with a lot of different mentors yourself, even though you are a mentor, and it seems you sort of opened that up and stepped out of yet another box that maybe you felt you had put yourself in. Can you explain a little bit about what that felt like as a public figure, sure, because you had put yourself out there publicly?
Right. Well, I still am pagan. I am. But that's just one small section or facet of my path. And me being a spiritual empowerment coach, I've been coaching for a long time, longer than I've been a pagan. And when I started my channel, it was kind of showcasing my pagan path. And I've always been a coach. I've always been someone who has been very eclectic in my language, in my living, and I mean, everything that I do is very eclectic anyway. I always have, wanted to write a book in through the outdoor, because that's totally me. So, when I realized, because, okay, I came from a very dark place in my life, and I was like, oh, I just want to get out of all these boxes. And so when I found paganism, I'm like, yes, I'm finally home. This is me, yay!
I love this box.
And I was like, and I didn't realize I was putting myself in another box. And I'm like, crap. You know, and then I had this dream that I was like in this box, and I'm like, I need to get out. But I'm like, but I like this box. But I want to get out. And I realized that the box was just kind of barely any walls, but it was open, and I could easily jump in and out of it. And I was like, okay, well, that's better. Okay, you know, because I didn't want to find myself in another box that I was uncomfortable in. And I love being pagan, but I've got so much other stuff to share, you know, and my spiritual empowerment stuff pulls from everything. It pulls from my time as a Christian. It pulls from my time as being Catholic. It pulls from all the other resources that I use in my own path to strengthen my spirit. And so I don't want to keep that from anybody else. I mean, it's made such a difference in my life that I want to share it with everybody else. And I'm like, yay! So that's why I do my little musings videos, that I do random little videos that may not seem pagan or, you know, may not seem linked to spirit or my mission, which is to empower everybody, to give everybody hope that no matter how sucky of a situation that you're in, you can see your way out of it. You really can. And you can have the life that you really want. And so when I realized that I was pretty much just like all pagan stuff, I'm like, wait a minute, I gotta stop that, because I wanted, and that's why even early on, I would do like these random musings about like, you know, spiritual balance or eat the cake. There's this one video called Eat the Cake. Watch that. I actually was talking about how I was in the courtroom and I saw this woman sitting there and I saw all these angels and I was like, oh, you know, and these spirit guides, and she just had this light around her. And I just walked up to her and I was like, okay, you know, and I will, so you can watch the video if you want the whole story, because otherwise I could talk forever. But anyway, so I was actually kind of hesitant to, what's the right word? To say, I'm not going to teach paganism anymore, I'm going to teach spirituality, which to me that's the same thing.
Right,
it's just a certain facet of, you know, paganism. And I actually did a video called What's in a Name, in which I actually present the idea of, look, I'm pagan, but I'm also all these other things as well. And I'm still going to do pagan videos, and I'm still going to teach my pagan path, and I'm still going to do the year in a day. But there's so much more to share as well. And because we're all spiritual beings having this human experience. And I think that to have it in harmony, have that spiritual side as well as that humanness, I think needs to be there. I think in you know, my practice, I really needed to be there, and my spirituality is kind of up here, and that pagan side of me helps to keep me grounded as a human. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think someone that's on a real spiritual seeking path, that's just a part of it. You just start losing layers of yourself to kind of get to your true self. And also in studying a variety of religions, you start to realize they do all have common threads that run through them, and so I totally relate. One of the videos you made about being an everyday pagan reminds me of something that I've kept from my Christian upbringing, and that is to live your life like a prayer. So
yes.
I pull from everything, but while I was watching that video, I was like, this is living your life like a prayer. Like, it's just a different way of saying it, you know?
Uh-huh.
So I love that.
Awesome?
Yeah, and I like that you involve your kids in celebrating the wheel of the year and the full moon. They're getting older now. What do they think about that? Is that something that they, like, share with their friends and are happy to do? Or are they starting to think they're too cool for it?
Well, they're actually wondering why most of their friends don't do it. They're like, what's wrong with them?
Nice.
Well, there's many paths up the mountain, you know. So that's what, and sometimes it's the parents who they don't want their kids to do other things or whatever, which is totally fine. But my kids love it. I mean, they you know, both have their altars in their room, actually several altars.
Wow.
And, you
they're
know,
boys
we love
too. Let's throw that out there.
Yes, they're boys, yes. But we love it. I mean, they're actually both reading the Four Agreements now because they know how much it's really made a huge impact in my life. And that's the Toltec tradition. And I mean, just to see the change in them and see their maturity, spirituality, I'm so excited. And my oldest is 16, he actually had this interesting conversation with his girlfriend, now ex-girlfriend, and he kind of referenced the 4 agreements, and I'm like, yes.
Wow. You're raising some pretty strong boys there. That's awesome. I want to go back in time and date your kids.
It's very cool though, and I always, every time they leave for school, I'm like, expect great things, you know. Aww. And I'm like, really expect great things in life, and then like whenever they're like leaving with their friends and stuff, I'm like, use your intuition. They're like, okay. You know?
That is adorable and so cool. I think one of the most striking things about you that is so fabulous is that you really, just in being yourself, you break the mold on what people think maybe a pagan is. You know, you're not like walking around in black cloaks, waving off the maze, you know, your mascara dripping down your face, which I know like people that don't have any idea what it's about, sometimes they have these ideas in their head. And then here you are, Miss like happy homemaker, kick-ass businesswoman, dedicated mom. Your house is all tidy and neat. And I believe Witch on the Rocks described you as the Martha Stewart of paganism or something. And I was like,
I love Martha
exactly.
Stewart. That's awesome.
Yeah, you just bring a wholesomeness to it that I think is awesome.
Well, I mean, if you look at what being a pagan is really all about, it's about honoring nature, honoring the solar cycle and the lunar cycle, and just being real. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I never found that in any of the other paths that I was in. You know, I mean, it was always about a set of rules that you had to do, and that just didn't resonate with me. And the only rule is just be yourself and harm none. I'm like, well, shit, I can do that.
Yeah.
Oh, and when it's all on you, when you don't have that list of rules to go by, and that's when you really know it's all on me, and I create my own life. I create my own reality, and if I want to bring some crap in my life, then I'll be crappy. You know what I mean? And so that, I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that was one of the things also that when I started sharing my path is that there really wasn't anybody for me to look up to. I mean, you know, yeah, there was a couple, you know, YouTube pagans and stuff, and there was several authors that I liked, but nobody publicly out there that I could just see their everyday life and go, well, how do they do that? And how do they do that? And I know what I do, but what does everybody else do? You know, and I was like, I'm just going to share. I'm just going to share. And that's why I do random videos showing a praying mantis in the tree in my front yard, because I'm like, check it out, this is cool, you know? I mean, that's, you know, honoring and being excited about nature and even the little thing. And my husband was making fun of me, well, not really making fun of me the other day, but he's like, man, you get so excited about every little thing. I'm like, because everything is so exciting. Like, whatever.
When in the process of making your videos, because you've had your channel since what year? Like, for a few years.
May of 2009.
Okay, so a few years. When during that process did you finally get like the ding, 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 I think this is a business here, and start either incorporating it into what you'd already been doing or just launch a business out of what you were doing with your videos and whatnot?
That's a good question. Well, if you watch my videos from start to finish, you can see where I actually work towards and get my teaching license in the state of Oklahoma. I actually, because I graduated college, and I was like, I want to be a teacher, yay, you know, and I was so excited, and so I studied and did all these tests and everything, and then I had this big announcement, and I was sitting by the pond, and I'm like, I got my teaching certificate, yay! I'm all excited stuff. And then I started registering for all these teaching positions and stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to teach in a classroom. And my husband goes, hello, you're already teaching.
Yeah.
YouTube. And I was like, oh, I knew that. I'm like, duh. But it felt so natural. It didn't feel like work. It didn't feel like a job. And that's when I was like, well, wait a minute. And that's when I kind of started to formulate a plan of, well, okay, so if I'm going to be a teacher, per se, what should I present to people? And I'm like, well, I think a complete year and a day of sabbats, of the whole shebang, because there's so many things that, I mean, there's so many books about sabbats, first of all. and there's so much stuff. But sometimes, to me, there's so much fluff in those books. I'm like, "Ugh," and that's why I wrote my book, The Simple Sabbat. So it was about that time when I realized that I wanted to have a complete year and a day for the Sabbats, and also explanations of S-bots and things that you can do, and the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse and the blue moon and all this other stuff. And so that really helped me round out my videos as far as what I wanted to present, because I think that a year and a day is really beneficial, because a year and a day, usually, by the end of that year and a day, if this is the path for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I tried to make it so that each Sabbat was simple and easy, and this is the general concept, because I know that there's so many different explanations of each Sabbat and whatever. I'm like, here's the general concept, and here's some things you could do, and here you go, run with it. And I always try to do like an incense and oil and the baking and a craft or something, because I think that could appeal to pretty much anybody. I love crafting and I love baking, and I'm like, yay, why not? Go for it. And being a mom, I want the kids to be able to help out too, and that's what I actually kind of debated whether or not to share my kids on camera with my practice, because yes, like behind the scenes, we're doing it all the time. It's like, hey, I'm making spell stars. Oh yeah, I want to help too. And we're actually getting ready to make those either tonight or tomorrow, because I ran out. But as far as showing them on camera, and I'm like, why not? This is my path.
Yeah, totally. And it contributes to that image that I was saying. That is, I don't think it's an image. I think it's who you are. But it creates that like wholesome, real woman that people can relate to. Kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Let's define Sabbat for people who don't know what it is. It's about celebrating the harvest and the equinox and the solstice and marking the different points in the year with a little celebration, a holiday. How would you define a Sabbat?
Well, the Sabbat, so this is how I normally, explain it to people who don't know any pagan terminology. Mm-hmm. I always say that it's honoring the solar cycles of the year. Mm-hmm. So it's honoring the equinoxes and the solstices, as well as those cross-quarter days that are kind of in between those as well. And it marks distinct changes or distinct times in the solar cycle. And this is linked back to the agrarian times when people really lived off the land and didn't have supermarkets to go to. They really were like, okay, when this hits, when the sun is at this point in the sky, this is when we can plant root crops, or this is when we can plant this or that or whatever, as well as with the moon cycle as well. And my dad, growing up on a farm, he always was talking about the moon, and oh, it's a wet moon, and oh, it's this moon, and oh, this is the perfect time for this. And so I kind of saw it in him growing up, but that's how I kind of explained it, is there, celebrations that mark certain times in the solar cycle. And they're like, oh, that's cool, and we just celebrate and have fun and bake stuff and eat and be merry.
I'm sure, very fundamentalist Christians probably aren't that open to this idea, but I think the Wheel of the Year is something that everybody can work into their spirituality, because modern society, we're so disconnected from nature. We've really cut ourselves off, and it's the perfect way to pause at least, once every 6 weeks and be like, hold on, I'm on a planet here. There's seasons and cycles, It's not all fluorescent lights and plastic.
Well, so many people are so disconnected to that. And I found that when I started to practice each of the Sabbats and each of the S-bots, I found that my world kind of slowed down a little bit, and I was actually able to regroup and recenter and go, oh, yeah. And I could notice things in nature, and it really made me kind of more aware and not be so unconscious in my everyday life. And that was part of the rat race, I guess, that I was in before I really discovered paganism, is just being unconscious to life and the cycles in life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I totally am jumping subjects here, but it's something I actually really wanted to ask you. I noticed when you did make the leap and you really got cooking with your business, that there was, most people were just with you and were like, we love you no matter what you do. But there was a teeny tiny revolt of people that were like, how dare you try to charge people, for spirituality. And I just think that's, something that's important to address, because
Right.
not all spiritual teachers are going to be wandering the streets barefoot in a robe, living off a donated bowl of rice, like, you know.
Right.
And I just find it odd that people don't resent their plumber charging them, but they resent someone that's spending their time guiding them as a coach or in spiritual matters. How did that play out in your own heart and mind when that was happening?
Well, it took me a long time to start charging. Oh my gosh, a long time. I think a lot longer than it should have. Mm-hmm. And I actually started having dreams about boundaries and how, there's my son, yay!
I know.
And so I really struggled. I struggled so bad to start charging. Oh, I thought, hold on. He's doing his chores. He's dumping the trash. Okay, anyway, at least in his chores, I'm good. I'm excited. Okay, so, but no, I mean, the energy exchange was just exhausting. I love making videos. I I don't consider that an energy exchange at all. I'm just like, this is me. Whenever I'm guided to do a video, I do a video. And what was happening though was I was getting so many people sending me emails that I would literally be doing emails for 4 or 5 hours at a time. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, and I was just exhausted. And then so I was having all these dreams about boundaries and everything else, and I'm just like, what does that mean, you know? Because I was too up in my head going, no, I've got to do this, you know, because I'm being of service. And I was really, I've always been called to be of service. And so what was happening was I've got this, I'm of service mentality, but I was just running myself ragged because I'm like, well, if they're wanting my advice or my guidance, who am I not to give it to them, you know? So I'm just like, but then it just started to affect everything in my life because I was tired, and then I was crabby, and then if I was crabby, then everybody else was crabby, and so finally I was talking to one of my friends, Melanie, and she's just like, look, would you expect something from a carpenter for nothing? I mean, you would probably want to pay them for this, beautiful chest or something. And I'm like, well, yeah, because they've carved it, especially if it's like dovetails or something. And she's like, you're just a carpenter, but you just can't see the box, okay? And I'm just like, okay. And it still took a couple months after that of just me resisting it. And finally, my guides just said, no, you're done. You have got to start charging. And I'm like, okay, fine. So then I started charging. And I was really praying to my peeps. I'm like, come on, peeps, just allow me to give, the pricing right. And those who are called to work with me at that price, then whatever, you know. But it wasn't until I actually saw that even energy exchange and felt it, because I had been experiencing it for a long time. And it was draining. It really was draining because I kept giving but wasn't getting anything in return except for oh, yay, thanks. Sometimes not even a thanks, just I wouldn't even hear back from the person. So I didn't know if they got the email or what, and I was like, what the heck? So then once I started charging and felt that even energy exchange, it wasn't draining. It was just even. And so I went into the session with the same energy that I came out, and I was like, okay, well, actually, I actually came out with all the energy that I came in. Anyway. and it was so refreshing because I was able to do more by keeping my energy and not having that unbalanced energy exchange. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think it's a challenge for people, I relate to this completely, but people like yourself who you're kind of creating your own category, you're defining your own career, you're not just like plugging into a pre-existing, I'm a nurse, I'm a, nutritionist, whatever you are. You're offering something more, you're offering yourself in a way.
Right.
Is there something that you would have done different, if you could take the lessons you know now starting your business and go back and, start all over knowing what you know now? What would you do differently?
I would probably get a really good camera and lighting beforehand. And make it like a little set, or at least paint one wall and have a nice chair and just have that be my background. Because that green in my
I like the green.
It's got sparkles in it. Yay!
It's cute.
But I really liked how it worked its way out organically. Mm-hmm. But I think that's a really good question.
How about charging money? What would you, let's say with that aspect, like whatever you struggled with.
Well, I mean, I do like how, all of it happened organically because that allowed me to grow as a business person as well as just a spiritual person. Now, my parents were both entrepreneurs. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. That's why my background is in accounting and finance as far as work. Mm-hmm. My degree is in business management, marketing, and just general business. So I'm kind of well-rounded in that respect. But I would have started charging a lot earlier simply because of how exhausted it made me. So that was something that I would do differently is I would have set up a website earlier and I would have started doing, I just would have started charging for services earlier. Just simply because once I felt that even energy exchange, I was like, whew, wow. I mean, it was a huge difference. And that's just, like my year in a day program. A lot of people think that it's really expensive, which it could be for them, but that's what I was guided to price it at. And it's gone up ever so slightly over the years, but the people that have actually stuck it out in my year in a day course say that I don't charge nearly as much because my year in a day course is the whole shebang. I mean, it's business mentoring, it is life coaching, it is spiritual coaching, it is year in a day, it is the whole shebang. I mean, it's everything. And my students will tell you, and they're even like I consider all of them my friends because you get to know them on such an intimate level. But our sessions are usually an hour, a lot of the times more. If I don't have somebody after them, I'll stay on longer because it's so exciting to see someone grow and see someone kind of blossom and feel them blossom and read their homework and go, wow, and they're like, oh my God, I got it. And they're like, and even if they send me 20 pages of homework, I love it and I savor each word of it because I mean, there's just nothing else like it. You know what I mean? Yes. And when that even energy exchange is there, then it's fluid, and that is when you're not exhausted, and that's when I can give 110%. Yeah. And so anybody else out there who has a spiritual business who is hesitant to start charging, and if they feel exhausted, I would recommend even just a trial of a week or two of just trying to charge for services and see how that makes you feel, because I mean, that once I discovered that energy exchange and how it really does need to be even, hands down, I wouldn't do it any other way. Simply because it's so fulfilling to be able to keep your energy, for one thing, from going into and out of each session, because it's not giving and not receiving. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
And just outside of business, since my business is really about helping people live or encouraging them to live the kick-ass life of their dreams, what is your one tip, your one, start from here tip on how to go about living the kick-ass life of your dreams? Or your version is the yay factor, but I think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah. Well, my one tidbit would be, there's a lot. I would say, before you do anything, anytime during the day, stop and check in with yourself and ask yourself, does this ring true for me? Am I doing this for me? Or am I doing this for someone else? Or because I think someone else wants me to do this? This meaning whatever, whether it's going to the job you hate or going to a job you love. Ask yourself, why am I doing what I'm doing? Does it ring true for me? And if it does, go for it. If it doesn't, check in with yourself and ask yourself, what can I do differently to shift my perception and to shift the energy so that I can be doing something that I love? And that's how you get a kick-ass life.
Yay! That's a perfect way to end this. Thank you so much, Flora. What do we have to look forward to? Do you have anything upcoming, or are you just letting the dust settle on all the new things you just launched?
Well, I'm actually working on a brand new meditation CD. I make products that I use myself, okay? So I have lots of meditations that are already out there, but they are kind of long. They're usually between 10 and 20, almost 30 minutes. So I'm getting ready to launch a whole new album of short, quick meditations that you can do anytime. You can download them to your iPod or your MP3 player or whatever, and they're awesome. There's not going to be any music in the background. They're going to be like between 3 and 5 minutes, so that you can do them on your lunch break. You can do them on a break at work. You can do them in the morning. You can do them whenever. So that's getting ready to come out, hopefully by Christmas or Yule, whatever. Kwanzaa, whatever, so winter solstice. So hopefully by then, that should be launched. I'm super excited. That probably will be just a digital download because I'm trying to work on being more green. So that should be just a digital download for everyone. So yay! So that's what's coming up. And there's also, we have live chat on the Inner Circle every day. All kinds of good stuff going on. I'm always on Facebook. So, yay!
Nice. Okay. Well, thank you, Flora. Thank you so much for doing this.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me on your channel.
Much love.